This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. I'm Alex Brown. Last week, Indiana and Kentucky applied for more than $632 million in federal grant funding in support of the I-69 Ohio River Crossing project. Project spokesperson Mindy Peterson said if the states receive the full amount, the construction of a new bridge over the Ohio River between Evansville and Henderson could be moved up.
If it's awarded in a very quick fashion, that's really going to afford the opportunity to accelerate the timeline for this project. So for Section 2 of the I-69 Ohio River Crossing, we have been talking about construction starting in 2027. If this grant is successful and if the states get that full dollar amount that they're going after, that could accelerate the timeline and we could see construction starting in 2025.
Regardless of when the bridge construction begins, Peterson said the project would take about 4 years to complete. Singapore-based Bila Solar plans to establish its U.S. headquarters and a manufacturing facility in Indianapolis, creating more than 240 jobs in the process. The company said today it would spend more than $35 million to renovate and equip an existing 150,000 square foot space just south of downtown. The redevelopment of a former General Electric industrial site in Fort Wayne has earned a national award for community revitalization. Electric Works was recently recognized as the top redevelopment within the EPA's Region 5, which covers Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, and Wisconsin. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
For 25 years, we've had the honor of telling the story of Indiana business. More than 1,300 shows, 8,000 interviews. We've traveled from Valparaiso to Versailles, Fort Wayne to Fort Branch, and everywhere in between. And we are just getting started. Our team is passionate about Indiana business because your story is worth telling. Join us every week as we travel the state to bring you Indiana's story. Inside Indiana Business, 25 years and counting.
3M has agreed to pay $6 billion to settle numerous lawsuits from U.S. service members who say they experienced hearing loss or other serious injuries after using faulty earplugs made by an Indianapolis-based subsidiary.
The settlement, consisting of $5 billion in cash and $1 billion in 3M stock, will be made in payments that will run through 2029. The agreement announced by the Minnesota company marks a resolution to one of the largest mass torts in U.S. history. Hundreds of thousands of veterans and current service members have reportedly sued 3M and Aero Technologies, a company in Indianapolis that 3M acquired in 2008, over their combat arms earplug products. The service members alleged that a defective design allowed the products, which were intended to protect ears from close-range firearms and other loud noises, to loosen slightly and allow hearing damage. According to one of the law firms representing plaintiffs, 3M maintained that the agreement, which includes all claims in Florida's multi-district litigation, coordinated state court action in Minnesota, and potential future claims, was not an admission of liability. The agreement has not been finalized yet. Last month, 22 attorneys general urged a federal court to reject the proposed settlement, saying it lets manufacturer 3M off too easy. Kate Sharon, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Indiana's largest privately owned bank has surpassed over $7.5 billion in assets. Merrillville-based Centier Bank has seen robust growth since the start of the year, according to our partners at the Times of Northwest Indiana. The bank has increased deposits by 14% year over year in the first 6 months of 2023 and has increased loans by 24% compared to the same time last year. The bank employs about 1,000 people at 60 branches across the state. Centier was also named to the America's Best Banks and Best Small Employers lists from Forbes earlier this year. Visit Indy Executive Vice President Chris Gall says the newly christened Bicentennial Unity Plaza at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis is already garnering interest from potential tourism events. Gall told Inside Indiana Business the city has nearly $2 billion in tourism-related projects coming online in the next 4 years.
Indianapolis is an ascending city. New hotels, new infrastructure. There's a polish to our city that people want to be a part of, and that's helping us coming out of this pandemic to attract bigger and larger conventions and keep those safe and sound who had thought about leaving.
Gall said what will be the 6th expansion of the Indiana Convention Center has already paid off, with Gen Con and Drum Corps International renewing their commitment to staying in Indy because of the project. And an as-yet unnamed convention is also considering Indy for the first time. Former Major League Baseball player Drew Storen is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.